a big reenactment. Come on one more time.
Special,
Look at this crowd. This is a sellout. Let's just call it a sellout. I know we don't have tickets, but we'll call it a sellout. This is the one where, I don't know if you know it or not, people on this side, we have visitors from around the state, ambassador programs, some might call them royalty, kings, queens, ambassadors. We even have the Winter Carnival. Look at the Vulcans. The Vulcans. How you guys, you make so much noise. Do it again. Make a bunch of noise. Oh boy, lots of excitement. I'm starting a little early because we have a bunch of stuff to go over first. Fun stuff and some serious stuff, okay? First off, this is the very anniversary of the day that Jesse and his friends tried to rob the bank. I said try to, right? September 7th was the date they tried to rob the bank, and today is September 7th. That means next year will be the 150th anniversary. That's going to be a huge deal for us, a big anniversary date, 150th since that day, that infamous day. Can you do me a favor? Can y'all promise me to come back next year? Next. So that's going to be huge, 150th. That's going to be a big anniversary. It also happens to be 150th of the country. So we're going to have 250th anniversary of the country. That's going to be huge as well. It's also the 50th anniversary of the Northfield Historical Society. So thank you for promising to come back. I'm excited for that. Okay, what else do we got? Just a bit of housekeeping. And I can barely look at it. You got so much glitter. I mean, it's so shiny that I'm joking. So every year we have some people that we choose. They're very special people in a good way that represent us, that travel around the state of Minnesota to promote our festival. I'd like you to meet them quick.
Well, howdy everyone. We're so excited that you're here to watch the reenactment. It's one of my favorite events during Defeat Days, so I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. My name is Maria Seeger, and I'm one of your 2025 Defeat of Jesse James Days ambassadors.
Hello, my name is Emily Stowe, and I'm one of your 2025 Defeat of Jesse James Days Junior ambassadors.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is definitely the sparkliest raid reenactment we've had so far. I am so glad you're here, and I'm so excited to share this special piece of our history with you. My name is Maddie Dean, and I'm one of your 2025 Defeat of Jesse James Days ambassadors.
Hi, my name is Isla Graff, and I'm one of your 2025 Defeat of Jesse James Days Junior ambassadors. Thank you!
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy 149th anniversary of our amazing history. And of course, an extra special thank you to all the Sparkles and the people supporting the Sparkles and non-Sparkles that have no clue what is going on right now. My name is Maya Skazacek, and I'm one of your 2025 Defeat of Jesse James Days ambassadors.
I have no clue what's going on. When they first, like a year ago, when they first started crowned, they do not know the parade waves. But now they've had a whole summer, a whole year. Can you give me one of them? Let's see how it looks. Is it left? See, I like that. A little fast. I want to go slow. I'm not very good. Anyways, thank you, ladies. Just a couple things. If everybody, if all the Sparkles could look at me for 1 second. When we're done, your buses are right there. So I'm pointing, they're right down there. So you want to walk to the south. And that's important because there's a lot of you, and they're all parked right on Division Street. It hasn't been there in the past. In case you've been there before, they used to be somewhere else. They're right down there. Okay? Just want to say that. Another very important thing, if you all could listen to this. We had somebody very important for reenactments in the committee and in our community pass away just 1 week after our defeat days last year. His name was Chip DeMann, and he was literally the founder, and he started our modern-day James Younger Gang as we know it. We're going to do something special. We don't do this normally, and it is a really rare and fun photo opportunity while we honor him, and I give you a little bit of detail. As soon as we're done with the gun part, the shoot 'em up, the reenactment, they're going to come back in, and they're going to line up perfectly because they're perfect horses and they're so well trained. Right here in front of the First National Bank, okay? Great photo op, perfect lighting. Anyways, they're going to come in. We're going to have a moment of silence after I tell you a little bit about them, okay? So if y'all can stay in your seats after that, very special thing, okay?
I was trying to see if we could get above the...
So, that said,
So this will be the view we got.
when I grew up watching these reenactments, I'm just going to tell you something. The guy that always told the story, like, first, used to tell my dad and mom that I was kind of bored with it. Like, when's the shooting going to start? I always thought it was kind of boring. I've been doing this 12, 13, maybe 14 years, and not that Doug did a bad job. Added some music, and more importantly, I want you to understand some important historical facts, and I want you to understand a bit about the chaos, because if you don't understand what I'm about to tell you, it's just a bunch of horses and people shooting at each other, and it's not that. The James Younger Gang has some strategy. They moved in 3 waves, 3 groups of horses. The first 3 guys that come in and hang out with the people on the street, get to know them. When they go in the bank, 2 guys come up from the south and kind of take guard on the street, kind of watch out while the 3 go in. There was 3 more guarding their escape route on the ridge over there. Jesse James was in the escape route. They weren't supposed to come on the scene unless there was trouble. They had to come on the scene because there was trouble. And they couldn't get away across the Iron Bridge because it was being guarded by townspeople. And you're going to see that. So, if you would, just delay, what do they call it? There's a term for it. Just forget that you're here and take yourself back 149 years. Like the dirt underneath the cement. I get excited. The dirt underneath the cement is probably some of it there, a lot of it. Where you're sitting, the temperature was about this temperature. You're sitting literally where it happened, and I'm going to explain it, and I want you just to imagine that you were witness to what you're about to see. In 1876, this city of Northfield was a small, thriving community. The town was a rail center on the productive Cannon River with the big Ames flour mills on both sides. Even then, Northfield was a college town and still is home to Carleton and Seminole colleges. The downtown buildings were mostly wood framed with a few made of brick and stone, and of course the streets were unpaved. Now, the homes of the residents were built close to this downtown area. These people on the street were ordinary citizens. They were merchants and immigrants and farmers. They were peaceful, yet determined people, used to dealing with hardships, but not people to be taken advantage of. So contrast that in your minds, if you will, with the James Younger Gang. Who were these men from Missouri? Why were they so far from home? And why this bank here in Northfield, Minnesota? Well, here's some background. The first robbery blamed on the James Younger Gang was the Clay County Savings Bank at Liberty, Missouri in 1866. Following that first robbery, the next decade, at least 20 more were blamed on the James Younger Gang. Most of these holdups leaving innocent people dead or wounded. On July 7th, 1876, exactly 2 months to the day before the Northfield robbery, the gang held up a Missouri Pacific train at a place called Rocky Cut near Otterville, Missouri, where they made off with $18,300, an amount that would be worth well over $500,000 today. Well, shortly after this Rocky Cut robbery, a new gang member by the name of Hobbs Carey is captured and turned state's evidence. See, the gang was going to head for Texas, but once Carey's confession was published in the newspapers, they decided to head north, likely by rail, for Minnesota. Once here, they spent a week in St. Paul, followed by a week in Minneapolis, staying at the finest hotels the cities had to offer. Now, from Minneapolis, they traveled by rail to surrounding communities, looking for their horses, scouting out the banks in southern Minnesota, as well as getting themselves acquainted with the lay of the land. Now, posing as cattle buyers and land speculators, their inquiries about this area raised a little suspicion. Now, we are gathered here today not to honor a band of outlaws, but rather to pay tribute to the heroism of the peace-loving citizens of this community that sprang into action to protect their neighbors, as well as the economy of the city. We are here to honor the peace-loving citizens of this community. There's a memorial stained glass window in the Congregational Church that reminds us of a man who gave his life, Joseph Lee Haywood, a 39-year-old man who was the acting cashier of the only bank in town who lost his life during a robbery. He was filling in as the acting cashier. Now, he was also the treasurer of Carleton College, and he was the treasurer of the Congregational Church and the Northfield Public Schools. And stained glass window is inscribed with his name in the word fidelitas, faithfulness. Another plaque is located on the Carleton College campus. It reads in part, "In grateful memory of Joseph Lee Haywood," inscribed by his friends a tribute to heroic fidelity, and concludes in Latin, "Esto fidelis esque et mortem," which means, "Be faithful unto death." So travel back with me to Thursday, September 7th, 1876. The place is downtown Northfield. All seems normal in this quiet college town, with local farmers and citizens going about their business. Now you're looking at the original Scriber building here, which still houses the old First National Bank building, and the museum reflects the exact time the raid happened. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Bob Younger, Frank James, and Charlie Pitts, they rode across the Iron Bridge in the Mill Square here from the west side of town where they'd just eaten lunch. These men wore these white long linen dusters, no doubt to hide the firepower on their gun belts. These coats weren't that uncommon for the time, but so many men on horseback did attract some attention. Now, these men come and they tie their horses near the bank. When they come to the corner here and take positions so they can observe their comrades, one group near the Iron Bridge, and another that will come up from the south on Division Street. Now, these first 3 men will be the inside men that go into the bank. The second group, including Cole Younger and Clell Miller, they ride up Division Street, while the first group come up, walk to the bank, and go in. At that point, Cole dismounts in the middle of the street, while Clell dismounts, goes to the bank door, shuts the door, and stands on guard from the outside. At that point, Curious Hardware Store merchant J.S. Allen, he attempts to follow the 3 men into the bank, but he's instantly stopped by Clell Miller. But Allen jerks away from his grasp when he runs towards his store on Mill Square. On his way, he shouts that warning, "Get your guns, boys, they're robbing the bank." Across the street, townsperson Henry Wheeler sees this encounter with Miller, and he shouts, "Robbery! Robbery!" And he runs towards the corner hotel. The alarm was sounded. So at this point, Cole Miller and Clell, they spring into their saddles and they begin riding up and down the street and chasing citizens away, shooting their guns into the air. That triggered the last group of 3 robbers that were guarding the escape route at the bridge. They come onto the scene as soon as they hear those first shots fired. Those 3 men were Jim Younger, Bill Chadwell, and Jesse James. Now, meanwhile, inside the bank, Bob, Frank, and Charlie find 3 bank employees at work. Seating at their desks were acting cashier Joseph Lee Haywood, assistant bookkeeper Frank Wilcox, and bank teller Alonzo Bunker. See, the vault door was open with the safe on the inside, but the safe door was shut, but it wasn't locked. See, earlier in the day, Haywood had dialed in the combination, but he hadn't turned the handle yet. The safe contained $15,000. So bank teller Alonzo steps to the counter to wait on the 3 men. But the outlaws, they drew their weapons and began shouting orders to them. Get on their knees, hold up their hands. They demand to know who the cashier was, since the cashier knew what the combination was. But no one replied. The bank employees refused to open the safe. Haywood told the robbers the safe had a time lock and couldn't be opened. See, even after Joseph Lee Haywood was beaten unconscious, Bunker and Wilcox refused to cooperate. Now, in an attempt to persuade Haywood, Charlie Kitts fires a shot near Haywood's head. But at that moment, bank teller Alonzo Bunker runs towards the back door of the hotel. Charlie Kitts, running after him, shoots 2 shots and fires one through his shoulder. At this point, the battle in the street was at its height. 5 of the robbers were riding up and down the street, shooting and ordering everyone away. People took cover. Stores and offices were quickly closed. Now, Henry Wheeler, who had run into the hotel on the corner, grabbed an old army rifle and ran up to the 3rd story. And J.S. Allen, who first sounded the alarm, he alerted hardware store owner A.R. Manning of this robbery as he passed by his store. When Allen got to his store, he began handing out guns and ammunition to anyone willing to join the fight. The first citizen to arrive with a gun was named Elias Stacy. Stacy shoots Clell Miller right here in the face with a low-to-fine birdshot, knocking him from the saddle. Now, A.R. Manning, he grabbed his rifle, headed towards the bank, but when he got to the corner of the Scriber building, he sees 2 robbers standing on the street behind a horse right here. So he aims his gun and kills Bob Younger's horse. Then, as Clell Miller gets back on his horse, Henry Wheeler, from his vantage point up in the hotel window, puts a bullet through Clell's heart, and it goes through his subclavian artery, killing him within seconds. As the firefight grew, Cole Younger rides to the bank door several times, pleading with his comrades to come out so they could retreat. Now, A.R. Manning, shooting from the base of the stairs, takes careful aim at Bill Chadwell, all the way down the block, and shoots him through the heart, killing him instantly. Finally, several people come onto the block at the south end of Division Street. Cole shoots one of these in the head. Swedish immigrant Nicholas Gustafson dies of this wound 4 days later. Now, A.R. Manning, shooting here at the base of the stairwell, he had killed Bob Younger's horse. He also shot Cole Younger in the hip right here. He also had killed Bill Chadwell all the way down at the end of the street. Now, Henry Wheeler, up in the hotel window, missed Jim Younger with his first shot. He kills Clell Miller with the second shot, but over here, he severely wounds Jim Younger in the right elbow with his 3rd shot. Because of that injury, he has to shoot with his left hand while coming out to mount the same horse with his wounded brother Cole, since he's deceased, before escaping to the south. The battle was over. From its beginning to close, it had lasted with 7 minutes. The funds in the bank were intact, and 6 robbers were in flight on 5 horses, with at least 2 of them badly wounded. So Bunker had been shot through the shoulder. Nicholas Gustafson had a lethal wound to the head. Lying in the streets were the bodies of Clell Miller and Bill Chadwell. In the bank lie the body of Joseph Lee Haywood, assassinated point blank by Frank James. And now we present to you the Northfield Bank raid by its modern-day townspeople and members of the James Younger Gang reenactors.
Well, folks, if you're joining us, you're watching the bank raid. We are going to move our mics now, given you just can't see this. So we're going to unput the mics for time for you. No one will be able to hear Tim Freeland's narration, so we'll keep you posted up here as well. Of course, we're watching the bank raid from one of the buildings above, kind of along Division Street here. The raid is just beginning. The first group of raiders riding in right now. They come in 3 groups of raiders. 3 riding in first, 2 more riding from the south, and then 3 are guarding the escape route that will eventually come in later.
Can't stress enough that these 2 weeks here are more freedom goes inside. We only see half of the reenactment. We don't see what goes on inside that bank.
The raiders are now talking to some of the townspeople before they go in the bank. Another group of raiders will enter from the south here in a minute.
You see the second group that will be on guard on the street coming up from the south.
You can see the raiders, the second group pulling up right there. They'll be the ones on the street, and then 3 go inside while there's 3 more that guard the escape route. And just a reminder, we are going to mute the mic here in a second, given some of the noise that will be here in a minute. Muting our mics now.
Not many. At Peace Escape Town, chaos ensued and groups immediately formed to go after them. Help was called in from around the state. 1,000 men, one of the largest manhunts in history of the United States, were Eventually, 4 of the six were captured or killed near the deal in Minnesota by a posse of 7 on September 21st. The younger brothers spent their life in prison. The James boys successfully retreats to Missouri. Well, the townspeople come up. They want to see if they're actually deceased. They're making sure everybody's okay. We're going to come back down.
Alright, folks, we're going to get a few photos downstairs. We're going to stop our live video up here, but that was the last raid of 2025.